honored to be here. What a great group of people. I'm just so encouraged and inspired by everything. I can't teach you anything. It's one of the most powerful concepts I've ever learned. I cannot teach you anything. I can only show you what I'm doing, and then what you do with that information is completely up to you. It takes all the pressure off of me. It's all on the learner. If you want to learn, the information's out there. Mark talked about it yesterday. What we need is not good leaders. We need better followers. The talk I'm going to do is about the customer. As lean people, we know that the customer is at the center of everything we do. We want to serve the customer. We want to give the customer better quality. But I've had a revelation. I didn't even know who the most important customer was. And I finally figured it out. But in order to do that, I got to tell you a story. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I considered myself pretty athletic, honestly, maybe a little bit of a tough guy, a little bit of a stud. I'd hike up 14,000-foot mountains all the time in one day. Not a lot of people can do that, but I would just plow up a 14,000-foot mountain, 12-hour hike, no problem. And I did that regularly. It was no big deal. And I looked at myself, and maybe I was a little overweight and whatever, but I was tough. I was a Boy Scout, I was an Eagle Scout, I had to make it happen. But I thought, I want to really prove to myself at 54 years old whether or not I'm really that tough anymore or not, whether or not I really have any mojo. So I said, I'm going to try to climb the highest mountain on the continent of Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro, and see whether I can do it, 19,000 feet. So I set out to go up Mount Kilimanjaro, and I was very fortunate because I made it to the top. And it was extremely cold, very, very difficult. But I made it all the way up there. It took me 8 or 9 days to do it, to acclimate and make the whole thing happen. But that wasn't enough for me, because I like to kind of go to the extreme, so I figured I would just head right to Nepal, to the Himalayas, and go ahead and do Everest Base Camp, 17,500 feet. So that was my next place. Just a week later, I landed in Nepal, I landed in Kathmandu, and I was up in the Himalayas. And I look like I'm in decent shape there. I worked out really hard to prepare for this. This was not an easy thing to do. And I made it all the way up to Everest Base Camp. Now, the interesting thing about this journey was, it was the summertime, if you will, great hiking season, but a huge blizzard was blowing in the day I was coming up there. And it was unbelievable. I lost my way back to the tea hut down below 3 times with a Sherpa, and we barely made it in there. A lot of people died on this day. And it was a little shocking to see what had transpired. So when I got back, this is Mount Everest right there. That was Mount Everest with the storm blowing in over the top. You can see it coming in, and that's Everest Base Camp. And I was able to plant my flag up there and did that whole fun stuff. It was great. And when I woke up the next morning, the Himalayas, which were normally covered in wildflowers and everything was beautiful, was under 2 foot of snow. And the papers came out the day after, and 49 people had died when I was up there. It was the worst disaster in Everest history, from avalanches. So I spent the night huddled around a little yak-dun stove, just trying to stay warm. I was so cold I couldn't believe it. And I said, I'm getting out of here, man. I had a 5-6 day track down. I'm getting out of here. There were helicopters everywhere doing rescues. And I was making phone calls nonstop. I finally secured a helicopter to come up and pick us up. It cost me $2,000 for basically a 10-minute flight down. And he came in, he had cannulars in his nose, because of the high altitude. And we got in the helicopter, and the helicopter barely took off. But we got out of there, and we flew down 10 minutes. And as I got down to the bottom, I hadn't had cell phone service because of where we were. And I got down to the bottom, and I flipped on my phone, and just about the time we were about ready to land, and Audible had sent me an email saying, Paul, you should read this book. And I said, oh, interesting. So this is coming into landing, and as the thing was landing, my phone started going off like crazy. And I said, read this book, Eat, Move, Sleep by Tom Rass. So I said, I'm into health. I'll read it and see what he has to say. And it really transformed my life. And what I decided to do, because I had an extra 5 days, I didn't need to, because I didn't hike down, I wanted to go somewhere warm, so I planned to go to Phuket, to Thailand, if I can get this to go. There we go. Oh, there it blew it. So we went to Phuket. I'm pushing the button too many times. And there I listened to the book, Eat, Move, Sleep, and I realized what Tom was saying was so simple. Now, up to that point, I had struggled with my weight my entire life. I'd never walked in front of the mirror and said, wow, you look great. I said, I could lose a little weight. You know? That was basically my gig. And what Tom was saying made a lot of sense to me. So I started doing what Tom said in the book immediately. And over the course of the next 5 to 6 days in Phuket, I lost 5 pounds. I was like, what? How could that be? And so what Tom was saying was, essentially, you need to start eating real food and stop opening packages and stop eating sugar and stop using Splenda and stop eating all that crap that's in all of our food that we eat all the time. You know, barbecue sauce is full of sugar. It's all sugar. It tastes like sauce, but it's all sugar. And so I said, So I went ahead and started doing it. And I really couldn't believe it. And I started staying away from this stuff. You know, this stuff kind of looks healthy, right? But it's not. It's not real food. There's all kinds of crap in that stuff. And Tom said, stay away from that stuff. And so I started doing it. And I looked back at myself. You know, I used to think I looked pretty good there. I remember getting dressed in the morning, putting that shirt on, and those pants, and yeah, I look pretty good for a 54-year-old. Look at me now, compare. Was I deluded or what? And how did I do that? Started hanging out in this section. I fell in love with this stuff. And I know a lot of you are saying, I don't like vegetables. Well, they're amazing. This is where I spend all my time, in the grocery store. This is where I spend all my time in the grocery store. I don't even venture into this area. This is where the fat people hang out. This is the lingerie section. If you want to get some boobs, this is where we go. I quit going there. And I started noticing, you know, I travel around the world. I'm all over the place. When you come into the United States, most people are overweight. The average American is 40 pounds heavier than the average Japanese. Why? What is going on? Now, we're all lean thinkers, and we're smart people. And we got to use our brains. But you walk into Costco or Walmart, we got entire sections full of supplements. This is what I call overprocessing. Why do we need all this stuff? Because maybe upstream, we're eating the wrong stuff? I don't take any of this stuff. But I do hang out here. Some of you have probably watched the way I eat. I don't take this. But we're addicted to this stuff. We're the most pill-popping society in the whole world. Why? Because we don't eat this. I started eating like this, eating clean, if you will. Stop adding everything to my food, and I look like this. People say, well, you exercise a lot. It has nothing to do with the exercise. It has to do with what I put in my mouth. So I look back at myself and I go, wow, was I really that self-deceived? I'm a lean thinker. I'm supposed to be a smart guy. I'm supposed to be a guy that analyzes processes. Doesn't look like I was doing a very good job of it, does it? But I figured it out. And what I figured out was that my body was a Ferrari. And if I had a Ferrari sitting in the garage, and I have a beautiful car sitting in my garage, as nice as a Ferrari, I asked myself, how would I treat it? I'd walk out every day. How would you treat it? You walk out every day and you polish it. You see one fingerprint on the door and you wipe it off, and you bring people out and show it to them. And when you went to the gas station, you make sure you were putting in premium, and you went to Chevron, and you went to the fuel station, you absolutely had the right stuff. That's what you would do. That's what I would do. But that's not how we treat our body. We treat it like a finger. You really don't take any very good care of it. And then we cover it up with all kinds of clothes. When we really have this amazing gift that's been given us. I love hot cars. I've got one. And I take really good care of it. But I found out I was taking better care of my hot car than I was to my most prized possession, the greatest gift that had ever been given me. And I was beaten at this, and I look like this. So, who is the customer? Who is the most important customer in the world? It's your body. Everything you do in life is experienced through the flesh and blood that you're sitting in right now. Every interaction you have with every other human being is done through the flesh and blood you're sitting in right now. And it makes a difference how you take care of that. And I realized, wow, we're lean thinkers, and we're always talking about the customer, but the greatest customer of all, we take crappy care of. It's our body. We've been given this incredible gift. The human brain, one human brain, scientists believe is more powerful than all the computers in the world combined. You think about that. I think, my hand moves, my eye sees, I can smell, my leg lifts up. It's unbelievable. I can process and remember things from my childhood like that. You know, my computer's obsolete in 5 years. I can go back to my entire childhood right now. What a gift we have been given. Do we respect it? We talk about respect as human beings. Are we really respecting this magical gift that has been given every one of us? I certainly do. But I do now. I look at the contrast and go, what was I thinking? How self-deceived was I? Now this is the crux of it. Deming talks about something called profound knowledge. And as lean thinkers, we want to have profound knowledge. He talks about the appreciation of a system. Wow! I began to appreciate the system that has been given me, how it works, how it functions, to make sure that it's operating at the peak performance, in top efficiency. The theory of knowledge, how my body works. I began to study and learn what was really going on. The psychology of change. Gee, I figured out it was all in my head, that I had messaged myself with all these things like, I'm a big Colorado farm boy, I can't ever be thin, I've always got to be a big guy, that's the way I am. I've tried everything, my body doesn't work that way, I'm a fat guy, I'm a big guy. I gave myself every BS message in the world. And knowledge about variation. What was causing all the variation in the way I took care of myself? And I figured it all out. Deming says, a bad system will be a good person every time. And baby, I had a bad system. And it was not working. And I gained profound knowledge. And my system is bulletproof. I wrote a book called Lean Health, and it transformed my life. And everywhere I go, nonstop, all I do is get emails and pictures from people around the world saying, transform my life. And it's so, say it, and it's so simple and easy. It's not hard. Stop putting bad stuff in your mouth. Start falling in love with good food, and you won't believe what will happen. Last night I got a Voxer from someone saying, Paul, I've been doing it for one month. I've already lost 25 pounds. I'm going, I know, it's so simple. I can't believe more people don't do it. I don't understand the problem. Just start eating real food. And you know what? If you don't like real food, try it. You might learn to like it. It actually tastes really, really good. And you know the best thing is? You feel good after every meal. And the best thing is when you wake up in the morning and you walk in front of the mirror, you don't look and say, am I ever going to look good? You walk in front of the mirror and go, wow, unbelievable. One of the most interesting things that's happened as a result of this is, you know, I had a degree of credibility maybe before I lost weight, but as I lost weight, man, the credibility started going to the ceiling. I'd walk into a room and people would look at me and go, you travel all over the world and you look like that? How do you manage that? How do you manage all that? It's so simple. Everywhere I go, people go, how are you doing this? Now, I talked about Ivan yesterday from Kazakhstan. Runs a $3 billion company, and he was actually overweight. He read my book and totally changed him. And now he's become this total maniac about health, literally transforming the Kazakh nation to become a nation that is focused on health. He's number 9th in Dakar. This is a very accomplished man, and yet he missed it, just like I missed it. Ivan has done 3 or 4 Ironmans now, and he got me to do an Ironman. What's interesting is Ivan on this picture right here, he just qualified for the Kona World Championship, which is unbelievable. So to go, look at this, staggering when you look at this picture, to go from this to qualifying for the World Champion Ironman in Kona. Amazing things can happen if we get the right information and we have profound knowledge. So I was with Ivan, and he challenged me to do an Ironman, and the next morning I was so afraid I didn't want to do it, and I woke up and I went to the pool and I just started swimming. I was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And I thought, man, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I actually can learn to do this. And I started training like crazy. This is Philippe and I down in San Diego. Philippe talked about that a little bit. And I go out in the open ocean and I swim for miles and it's no big deal. These are things I've heard of. I would never ever even think of doing it. I'm really not an athlete. I wasn't a star football player or anything like that. I mean, I could hike up mountains and do things like that, but I wasn't a really great athlete. But I started training for this Ironman, and for 18 months I trained. And I finally went to Lake Placid, and I did it. And I couldn't believe it. Brad came there, and I crossed the finish line. It took me a long time. And then, because I'm crazy, which you guys already know, I decided to go to Vichy, France. 4 weeks later, and did a second Ironman. And I crossed the line again. Now to go from where I was to this is incredible. Profound knowledge. So what's the essence of this talk? It's this. The muscle we need to exercise is right here. It's not here. It's not here. It's here. We have so much more we can do. But we're not using this thing. And I was not using this thing. Deming talks about profound knowledge. Do some soul searching. Let's up the game. It's not enough to have a lean business. We're all here, we're all pursuing it. And great things are happening. But we should have a lean life. We should have a life that every element is touched by the thought that we are using our brain and improving in every area of our life. Thank you.